We're online, and a lot of people were writing and saying they wanted to hear more from you. So this is an opportunity for them to hear more from you right now. Now, the debate started off this evening with a question about, are we better off now than we were 8 years ago? You said no, and you really talked about the middle class plight.
Right, and I'm always talking about monetary policy. And the middle class is wiped out when you ruin a currency, so we're not as well off as we were. But it's not just this administration. We've had a flawed monetary system since the 1913, since we've had our Federal Reserve. But what I'm afraid is if we continue this, we won't have a middle class. We're going to have a lot of poor and a lot of rich people. And this is characteristic of what happens when you destroy a currency. And you do that to pay for big government, because you don't have to tax and you can't borrow anymore, so they just print the money, which is, a lot of people don't realize that, but it's a foolish system, and it's very dangerous, and I'm trying to stop it.
With the Federal Reserve reducing interest rates and with the U.S. dollar sliding against other currencies, how would you fix what's going on right now?
Get the Federal Reserve out of it. Why do we assume the Federal Reserve has to fix interest rates? We believe in free enterprise, except in money. We say, oh, the Federal Reserve has to set interest rates, and the stock market wants low interest rates. So the stocks went up a little bit today, but then they went down again. But guess what? The dollar went down and gold went up, because when you lower interest rates, you can only do that by printing more money. So they're sending the wrong signal, and they're caught. If they don't print the money, the stock market's down. If they do print the money, the dollar goes down. And that's why we have to have sound money. We have to get the central bank out of central economic planning.
Now, part of your platform is advocating for a fair tax. I think that's a very foreign concept to a lot of people. Boil it down to just a couple of concepts so people can understand why you believe a fair tax is the way to go.
I don't advocate the fair tax. I'm for no tax. I'm for getting rid of the income tax, which the fair tax people also want. Mm-hmm. But I want to cut the spending so much that you don't have to have a sales tax. That's what the fair tax is. But it's not fair for everybody, so that's why I don't push it. But I emphasize cutting spending. That's why I talk about this trillion-dollar empire that we're operating around the world. And we can't do it for much longer. And that's why I want to cut so much spending. We don't have an income tax. If we didn't have an income tax today, we'd still have as much revenues as we had 10 years ago. But you'd have to cut. If you just got rid of the income tax, your deficit would go up. That's why I want to cut a lot of spending.
Well, when talking about money, you are competing with candidates right now who have much more money than you for the campaign trail. So how do you keep going?
Well, right now, I think only Governor Romney has more money, because we've been very good at raising money. Where we get shortchanged so often is at the debates and the news in the evening. We don't get time there like the others get. But we have probably a bigger presence than all the others put together on the internet.
Well, let me ask you about that. How have you been able to generate so much money online, more than any other candidate? I mean, millions of dollars.
You know, it isn't so much I generate it as much as when the people who look at the internet see what I'm doing and read my platform, they generate it. They have days where, oh, let's all send money in on such and such day. But that's all self-generated, and they do that at the grassroots. And they're enthusiastic about what I talk about. Getting out of the war, a sound currency, no income tax, reduced spending, balanced budgets. And all of a sudden people, wow, they wake up and they said, we really haven't heard that. And they believe it when I talk about it. Somewhat at other times I hear people talk a little bit this way, but they haven't done anything about it. Then they go and check my voting record and they say, wow, he voted this way for 20 years.
Let's talk about the war in Iraq for a moment. There was that pretty feisty exchange between John McCain and Mitt Romney this evening, squabbling. Mike Huckabee said he wasn't there to umpire a baseball session. What did you think of that exchange?
Well, I accuse him of nitpicking, you know, and not dealing with the real substance. The real substance is foreign policy. Should we be the policemen of the world? Should we be involved in the internal affairs of other countries? And my answer is no. That's what the founder said. Don't do it. There's no authority for it. It's bankrupting us. And we fight these no-win wars. We don't declare the wars. I said we're supposed to obey the Constitution. And it isn't this nitpicking, this silly argument. I called it a silly argument about who said what when. And I couldn't figure out what they were talking about, because they should be dealing, how did we get in this mess? How did we get in the mess in Korea and Vietnam and now in the Persian Gulf? And it's bankrupting our country. That's why we have to change our foreign policy, not just tinker around on the edges about, are you going to bring the troops home in 6 months or 6 years or 100 years? We need to change. Our foreign policy should be defending this country. And the real great thing about the policy I'm talking about, it eliminates the cause of a threat of terrorism, because when we invade countries, this makes people mad. If somebody invaded us, we'd be pretty upset. So I say we would be much safer if we had the foreign policy of the founders of this country.
With the pool of candidates dwindling today, with Rudy Giuliani dropping out, ending his bid for the White House, other people are wondering when maybe Mike Huckabee or Ron Paul will end their ambitions.
Well, I've told my supporters, I say, you know, if you're still wanting to campaign and you're still sending money, I'm going to stay there. And they are still cheering pretty loud. So they want this campaign to go because they consider it very, very serious business, and we need to reverse the trend in this country. We need to go toward more freedom and the Constitution and less of this interference in other people's lives, over the seas, in the personal lives of people. I don't want to interfere in people's personal lives. As I said in the debates, I don't think the president's supposed to run the economy. We're supposed to provide an environment where the people run the economy. So this is quite different. The people are excited about this, and that's why I suspect they're going to continue to send me money.
You mentioned invading people's personal lives. I want to kind of do that right now. I want to ask you just a personal question. It's a demanding schedule to keep up, I'm sure. How do you keep up with the campaigning and with the debates and crisscrossing the country?
Well, sometimes I complain a lot and get it off my chest. But no, it is tedious. Sometimes I'm up a lot of hours and I miss getting my exercise and all. But I'd have to believe in what I'm doing in order to put this effort out, and I believe it's worthwhile. And when I meet the supporters who are enthusiastic and really say, yes, we need you out there, then it isn't too difficult.
Ron Paul, President, thank you very much for your time. Again, presidential candidate. Just wrapping up the final GOP debate before the Super Tuesday. Thank you so much.